Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel and thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the fourth and final episode of my Journey to Health and Wellness series. I can't believe this is the last episode already. My goodness, this has been such a blessing. The experience has been beautiful. I don't know about you, but personally, I've been learning a lot from my different guests. They have inspired me immensely, and I'm just so grateful, honestly. Once again, today I'll be having a chat with another incredible and amazing guest, and he also has a wonderful story to tell. Oh, guys, and I really cannot wait for us to have this chat. So please do yourself a favor, sit back, relax, listen, and enjoy. Hey, Willy.
Hi, Mimosa.
How are you doing?
In this moment, I am fully grounded and
Uh-huh.
I am very expectant, and I think my energies are like on record high. So I'm very excited.
Okay, all right. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I'm super excited, to get to talk to you and just like connect. I think
Yeah, I'm
that's
also
that's very
excited.
important.
I'm also very
Yeah.
excited, and thank you so much for saying yes. You know, it means a lot to me. Okay, so people want to know who is Willy. Do you mind just introducing yourself?
My name is Willard Mapulanga. I come from a very big family. The last born of 10, both from one mother, one father. Yeah.
Powerful mama. With powerful
Yes,
mama.
like Umandla, yeah?
Listen.
Yeah. So I come from that like very big family. And I think it also speaks to some of my values that I have cultivated along the way. I do really appreciate family values, and I love being in spaces that allow me to flourish, like be myself. So I think what's really important to me is I love connection. Connection in the sense that getting into a space where I feel seen, I feel heard and valued. Super important, and also being able to reciprocate this to others around me, right? Such that both myself and others are able to draw sustenance from that relationship. So that's fundamentally important for me as Willard. And
Okay.
then the second thing that I think is very important to me is believing that showing up is enough. Okay, so that's what characterizes my values and like who I am at the core. And also just I'm a very emotional human being. Trust me, I have a very strong feeling center. Yeah, sometimes even in terms of how I make my decisions and stuff, I tend to bypass my logic, like my frontal lobe, and just like go straight into like how I'm feeling, like down in my belly, and like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with this decision because it feels right. So, and my emotions have never betrayed me. So that's me. I'm hoping to unpack further. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you know what? That was a very comprehensive introduction. And thank you so much, Willy. And once
I
again,
appreciate it.
welcome
Yeah.
to my Journey to Health and Wellness series. And I'm really looking forward to chatting with you and learning more about your story. And without wasting any further time, let's jump right into it. So, tell us about your journey to wellness. When did you start with the journey?
I think I started, I'll give you two time frames for two obvious reasons that I've mentioned. So the first one is I started my journey to wellness, I'd say before 2018.
Okay.
So I think for me, this is a good inflection point in terms of my journey, right? So before 2018, I'd say more like around my undergrad period, the time that I was doing my undergrad at the University of Zambia, and going back to high school days, right? So I grew up as a very like tiny, slender boy, like very
Oh.
small. So even in class, you can imagine like I was a small thing, right? And so I used to get bullied sometimes, and people would pass
Oh.
comments like, "Oh, someone taller than me would pass, and then they just press me down, like like that kind of
Mhm.
weird experience, right?" And
Hmm.
then here's what happened now. So when I got to varsity, like for my undergrad, I started getting comments from ladies. As some of them would, "Ah, no, I can't date a small boy. Like you're too short." And all those things. But I'm an average height. Like I'm not too short. So
Hmm.
they told me like I'm too short and stuff. So that I think affected how I perceived myself. Right. So
Hmm.
what did I do then? I started going to the gym so that I could like build some muscles. Right.
Muscle.
I was
Yay.
like, yeah, so I do have pictures like from way back, like when I was like very muscular and stuff. So I
Um,
started building muscles. At some point, even got moments where I started taking like proteins for
yep.
some period, like those boosters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that I could just accelerate
Yo,
my life.
sure.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
now, so that's the time that I started sort of like um getting cautious of like working out and stuff like that. And the thing is that motivation from what I've told you, like it was externally driven, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the people around me. So it didn't feel personally meaningful to me. That's the first part of how I started working out. So when
Mm-hmm.
I got to 2018 came, I moved to Cape Town, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the certain events that happened that triggered me to now seriously think about my well-being, right?
Yeah.
So during my undergrad, I lost my mom, um,
Oh, so
and then that deeply affected me, right? So I moved to Cape Town, and then settling in, I was feeling very isolated and lonely, and the space was just so difficult, right? And then, so there's certain things that have started happening to me. I think certain moments, I think I kind of lost my compass to who I was,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
also started just the sense of loss started becoming more apparent, like everything just rushed to the surface, right?
Hmm.
So now I struggled to one stay present in school. Like I was doing my masters and then at UCG, and then
Hmm.
how do I even stay in this space? I'm in class, my mind is racing, and I couldn't find that sense of stillness in the moment, right? Because of so many things that I had carried over the years, right? And that's when I started thinking like, how can I release some of this stress that had compounded for years? And that's when I started thinking about going to the gym, UCT gym, and not going to the gym for good reasons, like wanting to be in a better mental
Yeah.
health space, right? So that's when I became conscious of like I need to work out because this is personally meaningful to me,
Hmm.
and because I think I wanted to address like issues of depression and just find my grounding, like
Hmm.
to the space. So in
Hmm.
a nutshell, I think that's how I started working out.
Yeah.
And later on, of course, I started now branching out, doing like running,
Okay.
hiking, and all these things just came in like all together for me, and I'm in
Okay.
very,
Yeah.
very good space. Yeah.
Cool. You know what? I can kind of relate to your story in a way, just a bit though. Because I remember when I moved to Cape Town in 2019,
Yeah.
I also experienced those feelings of loneliness and isolation because I didn't know anyone. So I just moved
Mm,
in and I kind of had to figure out everything by myself. And on top of that, I also experienced culture shock because where I'm from,
mm,
in Kwakwa Free State, it's different from Cape Town. I felt like Cape Town
mm,
was way too cold. Okay, not weather-wise, but the environment, the atmosphere. People were just like minding their own business. And I was shocked. Guys, like, how am I gonna survive here? And that
yeah.
also kind of motivated me to start doing the things that I'm doing now, exercising and be more health conscious. So I do relate. Like I understand exactly what you're talking about. And then now let's go back to what you said. So you get to Cape Town and you're going through all these things, and you eventually decide that, you know what, I need to be proactive. I need to do something to take care of myself. What was the gap? Like, how long did it take you to get to that point where you say, I need to do something?
Well, I think this is one thing that I didn't mention for the viewers, is that I'm Zambian, so I come from Lusaka, Zambia, right? So I moved to Cape Town on the 21st of January 2018. I remember the day. Yeah, it took me about 3 months for me to just accept that I think I wasn't feeling mentally okay. So it was, I first needed to accept like my interior condition, right? Because this is something that it felt like I was constantly distancing myself from things that I should have felt at a particular time, like the death of my mom. Like that's something that when my mom died, I was in shock, and then I just like, I don't want to talk about this. Even like, so she died when I was in first year, right? She just got to university, she dies, and then the entire period, like during my studies, like 4 years, I never like going back home to do what? Like those are some of the things. So I distanced myself. Even the time that like my family were like talking about whatever happened and stuff, I was far away, right? Running away from home. You get it? So home is in terms of like creating that atmosphere of feeling psychologically safe within yourself, right? So fast forward, I come to Cape Town, and then I was still in, I think, in a space of denial of what happened, and some other things I started experiencing in Cape Town, a cultural shock, adjusting within UCT, and so many other things, right? So January, February, March, April, I started feeling very tense, heavy, sometimes struggling to sleep. I could stay up like for literally 2-3 days, like up, like exactly. It's so insane, right? So the thing is, I started getting very tired. And I think that's the time that I started thinking about how can I become better? And I was also struggling with the idea of masculinity. Like I can never give myself permission to feel things, to cry for who and for what. You get it, right? Because I mean, the idea is suck it up. You're a strong man. Of course, I was tiny, but you got the muscle. So that's the thing. I grew up with that kind of orientation, and it really impacted me along the way, right? So I began now like reconciling what sort of like environment I was exposed to, my view about masculinity and stuff, like giving myself permission to feel. This is very important. So I gave myself permission to feel, and now my entire world started crumbling down because I was now alive to so many things that I had avoided for so many years, right? So now the idea was, okay, how do I not let go of these feelings, but like let them in and feel through? Like, you get it, right? So I needed to be in a space where I'm able to like be still, right? So beginning in May, June, somewhere there, I joined like meditation groups in Cape Town. I think there's so many of those, even within your city, just to allow myself like to be still. And that's when I also became in love with Psalms 46 verse 10. I guess like that talks about be still and know that He is God, right? So I started embodying that, and it just transformed into something magnificent. Like along the way, I was like, the benefits, they were so countless.
That's beautiful. I really love your journey and how you transitioned from feeling like you were overwhelmed to making that decision to say, you know what, let me allow myself to feel this. Because you're right. Especially, I feel sorry for you guys because that's how we are raised, unfortunately, that you gotta be strong, hey?
I
Don't
know.
cry.
You're not supposed to cry.
Just be strong. And it's so sad because we are human beings And we have emotions, we have feelings, whether you are a guy or you are a girl, we all have feelings. And if you constantly suppress those feelings, oh my goodness, you'll be in trouble. Yeah. Okay, so you are now joining meditation groups and going to the gym, right? What happened afterwards?
After I became now intentional, right, about this thing of wellness, I remember one day speaking to my supervisor, Professor Anthony Black. He was, I think he also felt like he's a very sensitive man, so he felt there's something that was happening, right? And then I had other people as well, who I would call my guardian angels, people that held space for me, right? I have, oh my God, like I have a tribe of like humans that I don't know how to call them, like beyond family, like they, yeah, I honestly don't know how to describe them, because they became family for me in the sense that they gave me the atmosphere, the space. You get it, right? Yeah. So after giving myself permission, and then I started joining all these like meditation groups, and like running, going to the gym, and like just doing so many things. What happened is that I think I started to feel like I was reclaiming, and I'm using this word intentionally because I didn't say that. I felt like I was running away from home as in myself, right? Not home, my physical, like running away from home. So the time that I started now intentionally doing these things, I felt like I was beginning to reclaim part of myself. I was distancing myself, like, yeah. And even like in terms of when you talk about the benefits of working out and whatever, the things like even your esteem, right, tends to get boosted. So even like my perception about who I think I was, like that started becoming very clear, right? Because up in my mind, the psychology like kind of freed up. All the debris I was carrying was starting to dissipate. And honestly, even when I look at my transcript, like in the second semester going to like the final year, and then when I was doing my dissertation, like it was just effortless. Of course, school, not that it became any easier, but I knew how to handle it, right? So there was this thing about renewed sense of who I was, and getting clarity of thought, a sense of stillness, like where I'm able to suspend certain voices I was feeling in, like in my head, right? I'm like, no, like just breathe. Yours is being in the moment, because that's the only time there is, right? Yeah. So that's what happened, like broadly. And I think this is also very important. Like I'm talking about a tribe of people that held space for me. And I think this is also important for everyone to do that, because you get to a point where life can be painful at times, right? And we never choose to be in this moment, like in these spaces. So you need people that can anchor you, can hold you, like in those moments. And that's what happened, like to my friends, people that I met in Cape Town. And also like I started building this space, like from a different angle now, like with my partner, even like in terms of communication in our relationship, like things began to like change like drastically, and something even up to date. I think like things have been quite easier, like because like I said, like I'm emotional, I tend to be vulnerable, like I tell things, at least like this is how I'm feeling and this is how it's affecting me and stuff. So like I think these are sort of like the core benefits of what I started seeing or reaping at the end of the day. From heart of hearts, I think that's what I experienced, and I wish this could be everyone's, and then like at least go, have set your intentions, that have that sort of like personal meaning to it, as opposed to I want to go to the gym because my friends are saying I'm too fat and I'm not attractive and I can't get a boyfriend. Like that's absolute nonsense. Trust me. If you ask me in my sleep, I'll tell you that.
No, that's true. I agree. And also, it's not sustainable because it's more
Yeah.
external factors. What happens when the going gets rough? Chances are you're just gonna give in because it's not
You
something.
tap out. You don't even lean in. Yes.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And Shay, man, I'm happy for you. Like I can see that you are in a good space. You are even glowing. Yes.
Very chic. Yeah. No, I get you. Yeah.
Tell me about your experience with meditation, because guys, now I've tried meditating. I'll say guided meditation, maybe watching a few YouTube videos, listening to what the person is saying. But guys, the mind, oh my goodness, distractions, So did you ever get it right? How was your experience?
Trust me, I'll tell you that it was hard. The first time that I started, right? And I think along the way I've sort of like stopped. Maybe because I'm now doing more of running than like meditation.
Yeah.
But even when I'm running, mostly I don't do it with groups. There are few occasions where I have like people along. I tend to go alone or with my partner, right? On certain days. So
Couple goals.
so yeah, you could say that. So the thing is, when I'm running, right? I hope I don't digress very far. So when I'm running, like I tend to combine meditation with that, like with the whole running thing. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll get music, right? That puts me into that mood to either suspend whatever things are on my mind, right? Like helps me to declutter. Or I'll just run without music, right? So and I'd run like 15 to 20K just running without music, like just yeah. So try to create that intimacy within, like connect my mind to the body. But anyway, so for meditation, I think for me, while in Cape Town, like I in OBS, it should be OBS. There's a Buddhist there that hold like these classes, right? So there's a friend of mine from Egypt, Shirok. We like, hey, dude, I think we're not fine, eh? Let's go for meditation classes. And so that's how we started. And then we made it some sort of like a habit for some time, right? And then I think we grasped the concepts of how to do meditation, like guided meditation. So even in my individual space, like I could afford to do that on my own, right? And also when you go for hikes, like I remember sometimes we would climb up like Table Mountain or many other hiking spots in Cape Town. When we get to the summit, like of course you'd hang out as a group, but for some time, maybe like for 20 minutes while everyone is resting, I would retreat into my own space, sit somewhere, and then just suspend everything and just like be there in the moment. Check out the views or close my eyes and then just feel the wind coming, blowing to my face, and then like washing away my burdens, and like the time I'm going back down, it's like, hey, I feel different. So that's how I've sort of like tried to integrate my meditation from the conventional meditation where you sit on a yoga mat and then you like, whatever those things. So I'm sort of like, I think hybridize my own form of meditation with running, hiking, and so many things. Yeah.
I really love it. Okay, maybe before we go to your running journey, let's go back to what you said about depression, because you just mentioned in passing, right? So when you were going through the most, let me put it that way, did you go see a therapist maybe and then you were professionally diagnosed? Or you just thought that, maybe this must be depression?
So I'm glad you asked that question. Yeah, and I'll answer it in the most honest way. Around June 2018, I was wondering, like I kept on pacing in my room, like sometimes I'd come back from campus, I'm in my room, and then suddenly like tears would start rolling down my cheeks. I'm like, no, I'm okay, I'm not supposed to get it right now. I'm in the kitchen. it's just something you just strike me, and then I start like crumbling and falling apart, right? So then, and this is where I think my friends become very handy. Like they started suggesting to me, because I was also grappling with this idea of masculinity. Like there is no way I can go and do therapy for who. So my friends are like, no, there are services at UCG, blah blah blah. My supervisor spoke to me about that, and then also many other people that I consulted, like my mentor Musa Nwede, so he like advised me like with these services, right? So okay, cool, sharp. So that's why I went to UCT. I remember the first day that I booked like for an appointment with a psychologist, right? I was so anxious. It actually took me almost a month. Just I'll turn on my laptop and then tap in my details, and then about to like send, and like no.
I'm not
No,
doing
no, 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 no.
this.
I'm a man. I'm a man. I'm a man. There's no I'm gonna do this. I'm Zambian, so I can't do that. Exactly. So now later on, I just like I think there is something out there, like beyond like, and this is the idea of this is the most important thing about giving oneself like permission to do something, right? Because we hold back ourselves because of this innate resistance or inertia that we tend to experience within ourselves. Not that because someone is out there is plotting against you, whatever, it's usually ourselves. So when we give ourselves permission, and I did. So I went there, now time came, sat before a psychologist, and it's like, oh, dude, I'm going to give you a referral to what's the name? Psychiatrist. It's like, okay, like things bad.
Right. So did you guys
That makes
have a session first and then you got the referral, or that was even before the session?
so that was in the first session.
Okay.
Because I think it felt like it was so when I went to meet the psychologist, I was like, oh, they're like, no, go and see. It's like, what? So I met the psychiatrist. I was like, no, this is urgent. Like medication, blah 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 blah. So I was on medication for like a year, and then I continued therapy. Up until I came back home in Zambia, December 2020. Yeah. So like I was in therapy for like 2 years plus. Yeah. So that helped me a lot. And I'm glad I did that, because trust me, I could have jumped off the tower or something. I didn't do that. Because there was that age to do so. Yeah, for a long time.
I'm also glad that you did that, you did this for yourself and for other people as well. I'm sure as you're telling your story, there are so many people who can relate, and especially guys, because like you said, it's challenging for you guys. It's more difficult to accept the fact that you need help, like professional help, and be willing to actually go there and find help. So I'm really pleased that you did that, and you are in a much better space right now. So
Yeah.
and then also I wanted to ask if you received any support as you're going through that season in your life, support from friends, from family, and how was that? How did it look like? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the support that I got from friends who I later on became family, like, was incredibly, I don't even know how to say it, like, it was super, like, that's something that I needed, right? And I think I needed to tap into that, like, for a long time, right? So my friends, my partner, and so the community that I built in Cape Town was super helpful. At church, I think I struggled for like to find that space. Of course, the thing, like I told you at some point, like when I go to church, talk about feelings like this and that, like, close your eyes, let's pray. No, okay, prayer is important, but okay, let's also talk about it, like what I'm feeling and stuff. So that sort of like style, like drifted me away from like the church because of this idea of like let's just pray, define stuff like that. Like, we can also pray and go to therapy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said also that like Jesus is one example where Lazarus died and then Jesus went to the funeral. The first thing he did was to cry before he performed any miracles. Like idea that emotions are important and you have to feel them
Mhm.
and pay attention to them. So my friends were super good. My partner, we built that space where we could like she could support me. And then with family, of course, not everyone like I mean relatives in this case, like not everyone like I was comfortable with, like
Yeah.
sharing. So even some of these instances like I'm talking about, right, like they're aware of. Like so probably later on they stumble on the video like, oh, that's so you never said this thing. Like how come? Yeah, so it's about I think having that safe space that I didn't necessarily have. Right.
Mm.
Yeah. So for some of my relatives, like my sister, we have a very sweet sister that I like. She's like my 911. Like, dude, blah
Aww.
blah blah. Yeah. So there's that thing, and then also like
Mm.
a few of my nieces and nephews that I tend to also like check in most of the time. So these collectively uh, helped me. And also, what is important is this. I remember the time that when I was moving to Zambia, like from Cape Town, relocating back to Zambia. So I still needed, I think, to be in therapy, and then I didn't have money. So then, how was I gonna do it? Because sometimes even therapy also was expensive, like it's still expensive. It's one of the barriers, right?
Mm.
Like $30 to $40 per hour. I don't have that kind of money. So there's this family that I know in the UK. I just called them like, hey, this is the situation. It's like, no, they even helped me to find a therapist, and
Oh.
then they paid. Like, I don't know how much they paid, but it was like a hefty amount.
Wow.
So those are the guardian angels that for
Mm.
me
Mm.
showed up for me, and I got overwhelmed by the response and support that I got. And I've tried to plow back this, to like the
Mhm.
community, like
Mhm.
try to hold spaces for people as well. Like
Mm.
I
Mm.
know a couple of people that are in this space, even some of them now like contemplating suicide and like hold these calls, send messages and like stuff like that. So it helps them. Like also sharing my own story, like I was in this space,
Yeah.
like you can do it
Mm.
and stuff. So
Mm.
that's it. And even just the whole running thing, the theme is to raise awareness
Wait,
like
wait,
on
wait.
mental
Before
health.
you go there, before you go there.
Yeah.
Norman, it's good to hear that you had support, and I think it's also very important for people who offer that support, because sometimes you have a friend or we have a family member who comes to you and they open up, they share what they're going through, and you don't know what to do. So I would like to know from you, since you have experienced this, how does support look like to you? Like when you're going through those moments, do you want someone to send you messages all the time? Because sometimes we genuinely don't know. I might be doing something that will offend you without being aware. So I just want to know how, obviously, it will differ from one person to another, but for you personally, how does it look like? And maybe like generally from what you have observed or you have learned, how would someone who is going through depression, how would they like to be supported? Or how would they like to receive support from other people?
That's a very brilliant question. My partner asked me that question before. She was like, how do I show up for you, right?
Mm.
And there was this awkward silence. Like for most part, we never should ask that question because, like even me who needed help, I didn't know what form of help I needed in the moment, right?
Mm.
And so even when people reach out to me, I was like, hey, I'm going through ABCD and I don't know, like I tend to sometimes throw this question like, how can I?
Mm.
And it's important to ask the question like, how can I help you?
Mm.
Or how can I be of support, right? So here's the thing that I like in my experience, we have to distinguish the two things about like empathy and sympathy, right? So most of us we tend to sympathize with people that are going through things. It's okay, but trust me, it makes you disconnect with that person for the
Mm.
reason that I'm going to share, right?
Mm.
And I learned this from one of my mentors, like so she says, Imagine you are stuck in a very big ditch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're calling for help, like, hey, I need help here, blah, blah, blah. And then I come to you as Mama, and they say,
Yeah.
oh, Mama, like, I can see you down there, like, oh my God, it's so dark and stuff like that. Like, that's empathy, right? I mean, sympathy, right? Like, you're feeling with like feeling for the person. Oh, no, it's so sad.
Yeah.
Can I give you some crisps for you to eat? Like, stuff like that, right? We tend to do that most of the times. But when you transition to empathy, so empathy is about feeling with the person, like you go down in the ditch as well and say, hey, I honestly don't know how it feels like here, down here, being here, but I'm also willing, I'm here like to feel this with you. Like, you get it, right? So you get the difference, right? Like, being with the person in the moment. So sometimes it means not actually saying anything at all, but giving the assurance, and this is the word, the assurance in caps lock, to the other person that you are there and you are able to feel the emotions with them, not feeling for them, like with them, like you share the pain. The point that I'm trying to communicate is that sometimes I think like human connection, I remember started out saying human connection is very important to me. Like, it's something that we can easily forget, like but it's unbreakable. Like, you can never break it. For spiritual reasons, psychologically, socially, we are meant to be together, like tight like this.
Yeah.
So showing up for someone means, of course, exercising empathy, like I've explained, sometimes being there, not even saying anything, just giving them the assurance. And sometimes they'll tell you what they need, like, oh, just come, and I'm unable to cook. That days where I was stuck in bed, right? I was stuck in bed. And then a friend of mine will just come, like with food from KFC, and like, hey, I bought you something. I said, oh, really? Yeah. So those you could show up in so many ways. There's no blueprint, like this is how you're supposed to do, like stepwise approach. Send them a message at 10 a.m. again in the morning, call them. Because about depression, here's one thing. It makes you very irritable. Like, everyone else who comes across you, like, could be so irritating, even including partners, like intimate partners. They can be so irritating, and you don't. And the other thing about depression is that it thrives in isolation. So it snatches you from people, it takes you away, like in the ditch down there, wanting you to be alone, and it begins to manifest from that place, right? So, and that's the thing about being vulnerable. Like, once you say, I'm feeling depressed, you are sort of like taking away power from depression. And that's what being there for people, like just being there, helps to at least reduce some of these things. Like, I think in my experience, that's what I've experienced, and I tend to do for others. Trust me, like you're saying, you're right. Like, it differs from one person to another.
Yeah. This is so eye-opening and super helpful as well. Thank you so much.
Just a disclaimer, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a fully fledged economist.
Alrighty, now let's go to your favorite subject, running. You've been looking forward to this one, I know.
Yeah.
So you recently participated in a challenge. I'm not sure about the name of the challenge, but I know that you've been doing it for 3 years now, running 100 kilometers throughout the month of December to raise awareness, mental health awareness, right? Tell me about all of that. How did it start? When? What was the motivation behind it? And how is it going?
Yeah, so this started. So it's called the 100-kilometer December challenge. Like, not too complicated, right? But the tag is to raise awareness on mental health. That's the gist of it. So I started this in 2019. That's when I started. So it was in Cape Town. One evening, I remember I sat in my apartment. I was like, but I mean, how can I? What should I do? Like, in a more like systematic, like a systematic approach to being healthy and all these things, and get other people on board and stuff. But if I need to get other people on board, like, at least I need to like would have lived the practice of doing it, right?
Yeah.
So what I did is like, okay, I'm gonna do like a solo thing, just start the 100. So I was like, oh, okay, fine. So what I started is maybe one day I'll do like 5 kilometers, come back home, rest for a few days, go do 20, come back. Over time, I think I was also started building the muscle, to do like uh, long stretches. And so that was the first attempt in 2019.
Yeah.
And then I started, so I used to share on my WhatsApp status, and a few people now started getting feedback. There was some this like reaction, some from people, oh, what is this about? Like blah 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 blah. So I would explain, no, I'm trying to raise awareness like on mental health, but it's about me trying to get healthy and everything, like mentally, because if I'm not mentally okay, it definitely affects how I love, live, and socialize.
Literally
You get
everything.
it, right? Everything. Yeah. So I did that, and then the second year, I now moved back to Zambia. Um, I came back home in August 2020, and then in December, I was still feeling that, like tiredness and stuff, anxieties. Then I was like, I think I need to do this. But again, look, Zambia is so unique in the sense that it's a very quote unquote like traditional society. So issues of mental health in Zambia are very different from the way we talk about it in South Africa. So I was like, I think I need to open up this conversation somehow. And what's the inroad to doing this? I was like, oh, there's this thing that I've been doing. Because I was also very surprised when I was looking for a therapist after moving back home. I can't get a therapist. Of course, they're here, but like resources are not all that available, even access and stuff like that. So I need to create some sort of like a community.
Yeah.
So that's how I started in December 2020.
Yeah.
Did some campaign around it, and it got some traction again. Like I had now friends from Cape Town who are participating, like in Lesotho and some in Kenya. Like, oh, and also some friends in the US, and like they would participate. They also like post on their social media, and it now generated this energy, which I wanted. As like, oh, these are Zambians doing it, and non-Zambians doing it. Okay, then we're hitting the like the jackpot. Yeah. So over time, even like the previous one that I just recently did in 2021, it was so amazing because there are so many people now like from the Zambian context, like we're willing at least even to talk about mental health, but also do something about it.
Lovely.
So like, okay, then this is actually making sense. So even like at my workplace, I tend to talk about them like, how can we as an institution, like at least even embed mental health in our policy, like create this different environment.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what happened, and what this 100-kilometer thing is all about. It's about just raising awareness, and also get people to do something about it, not just okay, I'm depressed. What happens? Stand up, do something, declutter your mind, whatever. You can jog, you can blah blah blah, so many things that you can do. Just adapt your way of doing it. So that's about the 100K challenge. And I had a very unique experience in the previous one. So the 100, I do it in December, like very structured, but also in other months of the year, I tend to run like February last year. So I plunged into a pothole and I got an injury, right? So it was like serious, and then now December came. I was like, I still need to do the 100, right? But how do I do it? Like, because I have an injury. And that's when I thought about doing, like, how do you build habits? So when I was getting into December, I was like, if I need to build habits about certain things, also like just cultivate my character. There was this urge to quit. I was like, I remember because in previous years, I would do the 100K like 2-3 weeks, I'm done. Like sometimes even 2 weeks, I'll do I'll go do 20, 25. and then 15, like it's complete. But this December, like it was so difficult because I used to do it in a very short, like small,
Yeah.
because of the injury that I had. But it was also intimate in the sense that I think I was trying to think about, like, I have an injury and life is hard. So how do I keep moving, right? How do I build and adapt or adopt adaptability and the flexibility to like just keep on moving? So, and these things kind of filters into your main areas of life, like how you show up at work, right? So you're given a hard task at work and then you just want to quit. Like, no, like at least do something, a push, ask for help and stuff. So this is what happened for me in December. That's what emerged for me. I was like, I think it's about building character. It's about cultivating persistence, resilience, And most important, I think for me, it was about how do I connect this thing, because I can give an excuse, a very useful excuse that I have an injury and then I can choose to quit.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is something that is personally meaningful to me, so I have to do it at all costs, right? So those are some of the lessons that I was picking up, like from the whole 100K in December, like the previous one. It was very meaningful to me. It was very intimate. And this is the amazing part.
Okay,
so,
all right.
So I did the 100, right? I finished. And you know what I did next? So I booked for a full body massage.
Celebration.
Like, I need to reward myself, like, for showing up, because showing up is enough. And then I get the end, like, like, how do I reward myself for this? Like, I just closed my eyes. I'm gonna pay for a full body massage. I remember that evening. It was on a Sunday. I showered, like, got colony. I was smelling nice, dressed up. And then got into the car, like in the cool of the evening, drove over to the place, the spa, and then got there. Met the lady who was doing it, and then I got the whole massage, and like when I was going back home, like I just felt it, like I needed that.
Wow.
So even when I was getting into the new year, like I had this renewed energy, the vibe, and like stuff. And there's one more thing now remaining. I'm supposed to take out myself to Nando's.
Okay.
So these are the two things. Like, I don't have to wait for anybody to do these things for me.
Indeed.
Of course, I do have a partner. I'm grateful, and but I think it's about creating that self-drive. That's the point that I'm trying to.
Yeah.
You don't have to like just sit there, do something.
No, I really love the fact that you also incorporate a reward system for saying, "Yay, you showed up. Well done. Well done."
Be proud of yourself. Yeah.
It's very important. And I'm so happy for you. And I really wish you nothing but the best going forward with your initiative. It's a very powerful initiative. And as you're sharing, saying how it has been growing over the years, it's just so beautiful. And there's no doubt that even maybe 5-10 years from now, who knows, it will turn into a big movement and help a lot of people, which is what we really driving for, to help people and raise mental health issues as well. So all the best, man.
No, thank you so much. And before I started the 100K, right?
Yeah.
So I went to ShopRite. So I was looking for something that could remind me. So what I did is, coincidentally, I have this thing in my hands right now. Like, it's a mug cup. So so I don't know if you can see. Enjoy the little things. So the reason why I bought this mug cup is that I leave it at my desk at work, and like there are moments where like things get fuzzy and like just so like, what am I doing really, like? And then I also forget like those defining moments in life. And you also get times where you have to remind yourself of the very little things, like things that yeah, of course, things that, okay, I was at UCT, the best school in Africa, but so what? Like, but it's about the granular, the nuances, right? Like the small, tiny details. Like, and that's important if you are to embody those, because they tend to reward us with incredible benefits, like
Yeah. Yeah.
just believing that, and this is my major takeaway, that showing up, just believing that showing up is enough. Showing up is enough for me. That's my mantra for this year and going forward, and also just connecting or connecting my intentions to something that is personally meaningful. And then the other thing is that I should be myself, like be my authentic self, and let go of this idea of who I should be. And then, yeah, the most, and also the last one, which is one of my resolutions for this year, is that, trust me, I need to play more. I need to love more.
Please.
I need to rest a lot more. Yeah, so these things. And to stay present in the moment, because that's the only time there is. Yeah.
You know what? I don't know what to say right now. I am speechless. And I agree with everything that you said. Just to add on the importance of being in the moment. So this one, I learned it the hard way. I remember when I was doing my undergrad, I did my undergrad at Wits, and the focus was just to get my degree, study, and look forward to graduation. Okay, sharp, it happened. I finally graduated. I had my certificate. And then I was like, okay, now what? And then it actually clicked at that point in time that I had missed out on so many opportunities because my focus was just on getting this degree. I got it eventually, but then I failed to live in the moment. I failed to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, because I was too fixated on the goal. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, like fixing your mind on the goal. But you must also remember to enjoy the little things, enjoy the moment, and be in the present moment. That is very, very important. So that's why I was smiling the entire time as we share. I was like, I can relate 100%. Yeah. So, yeah.
I got you. Yeah.
Yay. Yo, Willy, you know what? I'm enjoying this conversation so much. And I mean, we could talk for ever and ever and ever because there's so much that we could unpack. But because of time, unfortunately, we'll have to wrap up and maybe just take this time to share anything, your lessons that you've learned along the way, or maybe what you can say, especially to the gents, based on your personal experience. Yeah, your final words. What can you say?
So here's one thing. And you said this in your preamble about sharing stories.
Yeah.
I feel like we undermine the value or the significance of stories or storytelling, right? Sharing personal experiences. Yeah. So in my experience, I've learned that sharing organic experiences or personal encounters in life, they help us to not just connect with others, right? But they help us to stay within the boundaries of our sense of worthiness. Because the thing is, once you begin to run away or distance yourself from your experience, life experiences, running away from what I call home, your heart, the things that you carry in your heart, right? That are resident in your heart, like you run away from experiences. You step outside of who you are, right? And begin to hustle for your sense of worthiness by going for toxic relationships, and so many other things, right? So I think it's about coming back home to feel through things. And this is my encouragement to guys, men out there, like, look, trust me, it's okay to feel things, to cry, to talk about it, and And sometimes it means giving yourself permission to do so.
Mm,
Because once you do that, like you open up, you also extend that privilege to the next person to do the same.
Yeah.
And that's where I think sense of shared liberation comes in. You help liberate others from the shackles of pain and suffering. Like, I think for me, that's my message, like my takeaway message, and what I'd like people to think about. If I haven't heard anything from what I've said, I think this is it.
That's very powerful. Very, very powerful. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate you and for the work that you're doing. I'm so proud, and I think I'm incredibly thankful for holding this session with me. And I remember even when you saw the message, I was like, yeah, I need to do this because for obvious reasons, we are doing storytelling. We're gonna share the energy, like raise awareness on mental health. Like, so anything on mental health, I'm super excited. So I was really grateful that we could have this chat and just at least help one or two people out there.
Thank you so much. I like what you said about storytelling. You tell your story so as to liberate others. I really like that. I also believe in the power of storytelling. So yeah, I'm really glad that you made mention of that. Cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, ladies and gents, that's all we had for you today. I hope you enjoyed this session. I learned a lot, and I'm sure that you also learned a thing or two from Willy's story, and you are inspired to take action and be proactive. Alrighty, until next time, please
keep well,
keep
safe,
and keep
healthy.